So, have you ever slept while you're studying or working?
That's interesting. You're asking about studying, actually working also. So studying, there's no question. You start studying, you always tend to sleep. That's happened. I used to actually, during my exams, I used to put my book under my pillow also sometimes, and I used to feel that in the morning, whatever I've read is gonna stay in my head, or even if I've not read it, it's gonna get into my head. And when I was a co-op, actually, it was student life, right? We used to stay up late and wake up late. When I was working as a student in my co-op internship, I used to fall asleep in the afternoon at my desk sometimes. So I used to be typing something and then I used to fall asleep, and my key, I press one key and then why I used to go on the screen. Wake up and then delete everything, go for a walk, get something to drink, and so on. And so that was crazy. So yeah, I've done that.
So today we have with us Mr. Shreyas Zingre, who is currently working in GE, which is General Electrical. We are very happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we were able to finally do this after a long time. I had my COVID shot last week, so we had to reschedule. But I'm glad to finally do this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was not an issue. So let's start now. So where are you currently working and what is the degree that you have acquired?
I'm working currently at General Electric. It is you may have heard of GE. It's a very big company with probably in Indian terms 2 lakh employees and worldwide. And they're into a lot of industrial equipment, manufacturing industrial equipment. They used to do a lot of appliances as well, and they used to do financing for some time. So I work in the GE Renewable Energy branch of General Electric, and we build power electronics equipment for transmission systems. If you have seen high voltage transmission lines on the highways, there's a whole grid of transmission network all over the country, and we build power electronic equipment that connects to those high voltage systems, which help enhance the capacity of those systems and stabilize the network in terms of weather events or any unforeseen events. So we build these equipment. The degree I've acquired is Electrical Engineering Masters, Master of Science. Initially I had my diploma degree in Electrical Power Systems, and then I went on for my bachelor's degree in Electrical Engineering, and then finally graduated with a master's degree also in Electrical Power.
Okay, so why did you take up electrical engineering as your career? Were you interested in it or?
That's an interesting question for me because my dad is an electrical engineer and my grandfather is an electrical engineer, my uncle is an electrical engineer, and one cousin is also electrical engineer, some others are electronics engineers, my sister is a networking engineer, my wife Mugdha is also a networking engineer. So it's a family of engineers. Electric, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole family of engineers. And electrical engineering, I had no idea about. When I was in 10th grade, I had no idea about the difference between electrical engineering and electronics engineering even. My sister is 4 years elder to me, and she was already into engineering. And I used to confuse it all the time when people would ask me. But the electrical engineering branch, when I was in 10th grade, my dad just took me. He has a business, so he always had a plan to bring me into his business of electrical engineering. And after 10th grade, people used to ask me, what are you going to do? And I had no idea. But he just took me to the Diploma Institute in Thane, VPM's Polytechnic, which is where some others, my wife included, in our family have studied. And there was a list of 5 or 6 branches on the board. And I was like, okay, which one is ours? And he said, electrical power systems, that's the one we're interested in. I said, okay, fine, we'll do that. I had no interest or no inclination. 10th grade, you don't expect students to know what they want to do in their career. But he was an electrical engineer, and he was a big factor in choosing electrical power systems or electrical engineering.
Thanks a lot. What was your career path? And do you think the career path which you chose was rightful enough to be wherever and who you are right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So career path, like I said, I started with my, after my 10th grade, the option is 12th in science or commerce, or diploma is an option, which I don't know if everybody know about it now, but some do. And diploma is a direct technical degree. So I did that after 10th, and which is a 3-year degree. And then I went for my bachelor's in electrical engineering, same field. And so diploma is 3 years compared to 12th of 2 years, but then after diploma you get admission to direct 2nd year, so you don't lose a year in that process. So I did my bachelor's after my diploma, and then went for master's straight away. And in terms of career after graduation, it was interesting because my master's university that I chose in the US had a co-op program, which is like an internship program as part of the course. So I was able to work with industry related to my field during my summer and fall 2 quarters. And that gave me a huge benefit in getting a job. So actually the same company hired me as a full-time employee after my master's, after I completed my master's. And that's how my career started. And I was a little bit fortunate as well, because that I graduated in 2009, which was the beginning of the recession. But because of the internship, I was able to get a job right away, right after graduation. And I was very fortunate that way. And I was also fortunate in the sense that the field I graduated in and the field I got a job in was very much related in power system studies. So that's how I got into my first job. And of course the degree and the university and the location of the university mattered a lot in terms of getting that first job in my relevant field. And then in the career after starting my first job, you just do what you have to do. You learn a lot. You have to learn a lot in your job, and with that, as you gain knowledge through your job, you can progress in different positions. So I kept progressing. It's been 12 years now. This year, this last April. And through different positions, I've progressed through, I think, 6 or 7 positions now. You can check my LinkedIn profile for all the different positions I've had. So that's how my career has been.
Okay, so your fourth question is, do you have any suggestions for those students who are or will be applying for their colleges in the coming year or the next year?
Suggestions. So what I would suggest is talk to like you're doing here. Talk to people you know who are in different careers and get their experiences, how they started off and what are the things they did. So this video right here is very useful for you yourself as well as everybody watching. And that's the best way, because initially we don't know where to go, what's out there, what are the processes. As a student, I remember I had no idea the things I know now after having gone through the process. and unfortunately you're going through this without any knowledge, and you only do it once, right? So that's why it's important to talk to everybody you know who has gone through different career paths and different education paths, and get their experiences and then make a decision. You also have to make some research of the trends right now, because those of us who have graduated probably 10 years ago, it's things have changed since then. So you should do some research in your age groups. Your school may have some meetings or some seminars that talk about what kind of career paths you can take. So those are good places to get some knowledge about what you can do, and just gather knowledge. These days online you can get a lot of information, useful information. So do your research is basically the suggestion.
Okay, that was very interesting, and the suggestions will really help. Okay, so now we're moving on to some kind of generalized questions. So your fifth question is, can you tell us the most challenging project or part of your career?
Most challenging project is interesting. I had to think about that one a little bit. I can say now that after 12 years in the industry, a lot of things felt challenging when I first started them and when they were new. So when you start something, it feels very challenging, but once you go through it once or twice, it feels like that was nothing. But then something new that you're doing now is going to be challenging. So challenges will always be there. For me, I remember there was one time I was doing some design calculations, and I really couldn't get right design, that the customer wanted, and I was really struggling on my own, running calculations all day, and it was evening and there was nobody in the office. I was at my desk doing calculations, and then I remember the cleaning people came and they went, and I was still there, and they turned the lights out and I was still there and I didn't even have time to turn the lights back on, so I just kept on going. But the interesting part was that you have to take help, right, if it's very challenging, and then you have to take help from those who are experienced, and you also have to do your homework before going to them. For example, if you're not able to get something done, then you have to make some summary of what you have tried, and what are the different things you have tried and why you tried them, and what are the results you observed from all those attempts, and then go to somebody who can help you and explain to them that these are the things I tried, and this worked, this didn't work, and why it didn't work, and then get their help. And I think that's the best way to proceed if it's any challenging project or task.
Well, that was quite nice, and the lights out part was more interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I received some questions from some random students. So if you don't mind, I'll ask them to you. There are 5 questions. So to start with the first one, it is, what are the abilities should a person have to become an electrical engineer?
Yes. That was interesting. Yeah, so electrical engineering, as you know, is a core field, right? And it has evolved a little bit, but the abilities, it's an engineering field, of course. So maths has to be a strong subject, and it doesn't matter if you are not getting good marks in maths right now. As long as you like the topic, that's good enough, because the liking will come after you start applying it in your engineering field. And once you start liking the subject more, and you see how it can be used in different engineering subjects, then you naturally have a tendency to spend more time with it, and then your marks follow. after that. So as long as you have a interest in maths, that's going to be a prerequisite for electrical engineering. In general science, physics is a good, has to be good. Those are the field subjects that you would need for electrical engineering. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, actually subjects, maths, physics, chemistry, not chemistry, maths, physics and science subjects, but that's in school. And once you get into the engineering field, either diploma or degree, that's when you would have a lot of different other subjects related to electrical engineering. So if you're really interested in it, then you would have electrical machines, you would have electrical transmission systems. Those are the main fields, and then you would also have a little bit of engineering drawing and such.
So your next question is, which are the good colleges in India and US which helps students get an early success in their career?
For electrical engineering, there are quite a few colleges. In India, you have to, so in colleges, and you talked about early success, the ranking of the college or university matters for early success. The higher the ranking, the quicker your career path is going to be. And even if the ranking is not the number 1 or even top 10, that's fine. You just have to put a little bit more effort, which is also okay. It's not that all hope is lost if it's not the top 10 university and such. There are a lot of students graduating from all kinds of universities who are very successful in their career. So in terms of early success, higher ranking is better, but in terms of success itself, it's all in your hands. What universities? So you have to check your rankings in the country. In India, it may not be so easily available, but some universities by hearing from other individuals or other professionals. In VJTI and Sardar Patel and Father Egnal, SKJ Somaya, these are pretty good universities. Then there's also AC Patil, Lokma LT in, I think it's in Airoli. And then there are newer universities now or colleges now in India, and I'm talking about Bombay area right now. There are so many others that you can aim for all over the country, and there are so many IITs as well. They are pretty good in electrical engineering courses. IIT Bombay is actually number 1 for electrical engineering, and so that's in India. You got to do some research there. For US, again, in US the rankings are more structured, so they're available online. You can check the rankings, and what I did when I was searching for universities, I downloaded the top 50 or top 100 ranks for all the universities for that field, and I just started at the top and started sorting through the locations of different universities and the courses offered in the universities, and then the entrance cutoffs for my marks, and then made a list of, I think, 8 universities that I wanted to apply to. So I would suggest start with the rankings and start at the top, and then work your way down with you should have some high level universities, maybe 1 or 2 that are ambitious. Then we should have a good number of 5 or 6 sure or average but good universities, and then a couple safe universities that you would easily get those for very little effort. That's how you can approach this.
Okay, that was very interesting and nice. So your next question is, what are the other options that can be explored during your college life?
Yeah, there are a lot of options in colleges that you can go for. So when you're in engineering, for example, I can give you that example from my experience. There will always be some elective courses. So you got to do that research ahead of because there will be a deadline to submit your elections. So you should talk to your seniors about what elective courses, and your teachers also, what elective courses are going to be offered, and do your research, ask around again, and find out that which one should be better for your career and your interest. So pick the right one. For example, I picked a subject. We had two options in the, I think, 4th year, and I picked flexible AC transmission systems at that time. It was by accident actually, but I ended up in the same field in my first job. So I'm still in the same field. So I remember studying those things at that time. I had no idea what I was reading, but when I started working in the field, I figured out that what all that stuff was. So elections matter. The other thing is internships, summer internships or whichever internships. You have to try for getting some kind of internship in the field of your study, either in summer or through your college if your course offers it, and that makes a huge difference to see things in actually being applied in the field, which are related to what you're studying in the school. Because one of the things when I graduated and got my first job, one of the things was a big shock to me was how much difference there is in education, what you study in school and what's actually out there in the market or field. Some of the things I'd studied, I used to ask my colleagues about, do you guys do those things that, it's common to do, and they said no, nobody does that, because ultimately when you're in the field, what can be commercialized, it matters a lot. You just don't do something for an experiment. It has to be commercially acceptable. You have to make money out of it. That's the business of any field. So doing an internship makes a big difference. That also helps immensely getting a job if you have some experience having worked with some field during your education.
Well, your last question to answer is, how has the trend changed since you were a child? No, wait, sorry. How has the trend in education changed for your field? How? So this is your last question to answer, which is, how has your trend changed? How has the trend changed in education for the field you are currently working in?
I'm glad you're asking that question because electrical engineering is an interesting field. It's a core field. So you ask about trend in my field, and the interesting part is that the things I studied in my school were basically the same subjects and even the same books that my dad studied 30 years before me or 20 years before me, and the books he used and the subjects he studied were the same ones my grandfather studied when he was in school or engineering school. So I still have, I think they're in India, there are still books that are, my grandfather's name is on the books, and I refer to those books. Of course, the same book and the same author, there have been newer editions and some improvements, but the core physics and the core concepts of the field have not changed for probably 80 years. What's added is the computer software related stuff and some of the power electronics related stuff, the digitization of the field. So those subjects were added, but the original subjects are still the same, and the new subjects are very important, but the core subjects are the foundation, and the newer subjects, the digital and the controls and the software scripting, I had to learn those things as well, but those are an add-on to the core subjects.
Okay, so that leaves us with all the answers which you got right now. And now Mr. Shreyas, would you like to conclude and summarize whatever we have spoken about today?
Sure. In conclusion, few things. As students in school, I would recommend doing your research about the fields that interest you. Do some research on the current trends. Talk to your in your family or friends, whoever are working and gone through different career paths and education paths, and then do some research about what universities you want to apply to. I highly recommend going for, of course, a bachelor's degree, but even higher, or master's degree, or even PhD, if that makes sense. And stay focused on your studies, because this time will not come back. What you do in this time matters a lot in your entire career and entire life, for that matter. So talk to everyone, do your research, and stay focused. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this channel. That's my recommendation. All the best.